PharmaVentures, experts in deals and alliances.
Hello and welcome to PharmaVentures Insight here in Cologne, Germany. On the show today I have Tim Mitchell of Sareum. Tim, welcome.
Thank you, Adrian.
So Tim, first let's talk a little bit about the company. I know you've got some good news and we'll come on to that. So what is it Sareum does exactly? What's the nature of the company?
Sure. So we are primarily kinase, primarily cancer-focused drug discovery and development company. We operate in the discovery through to early clinical space, looking to progress our programs through and then license them out, late preclinical, early clinical.
And the company's been going for a little while, so has that been a tough model initially? Because going back a little bit, pharma are only ever interested in clinical proof of concept, but you were operating more at the early stage end, is that?
Yeah, so well, nothing's easy, of course.
Sure.
So we've been operating 12 years. We are AIM listed, so I suppose we haven't got VCs with funds running out to worry about, so we can operate as, we're free to operate more so than other companies. In terms of the appetite for early stage investment, I think the companies are looking earlier and earlier for their investments, and certainly in cancer you can do some proof of efficacy in phase 1, so you can often get cancer programs licensed at an earlier stage. But if you've got a good molecule and a hot target, I think you can probably license it more or less any stage.
We've seen a lot of that activity lately with checkpoints and things, so we will come on to that, of course. Perhaps a little bit about the technology itself that your company is based around. Could you just tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, so our expertise is primarily chemistry rather than biology. So we tend to be best in class rather than first in class in that we're very good at making very good kinase inhibitors. So can use the established, I suppose, targets. I suppose some we have some sort of leading position on, but generally we'll look at reasonably established targets, but obviously not too established, and use our expertise to get a better molecule into the clinic.
And kinases were very popular a few years back. It was everybody needed a kinase inhibitor,
Sure.
And they did suffer a little bit with off-target effects and sort of maybe lack of selectivity or specificity. And you've probably seen that wax and wane a bit. Are we now on the up again? Were people more interested in kinase inhibitors?
I think, I mean, there have been some approvals of kinase inhibitors recently, which I think have hit the news. I think generally we're getting better, and certainly we think we're very good at generating selective kinase inhibitors. So I think the off-targets effects of the dirty old kinases of yesteryear we don't see as an issue for us. No, generally we get very good selectivity, very good oral bioavailability.
So you expect to see that selectivity play out in trials where you're going?
For certain, yeah. So all the preclinical data that we've generated so far points towards good oral exposure.
So let's turn to some deal. You recently did a deal. You closed the deal and announced it. Perhaps you could tell us a little bit about that deal and what it's for and what it means to your company.
Okay, thanks. So actually we should give credit to our co-investment partners, that's CRT Pioneer Fund, who did the heavy lifting on this deal. But this is for our checkpoint kinase 1 DNA damage repair pathway inhibitors. We got that approved for initial trials in April this year. We started phase 1 at the Royal Marsden in May, June, both as a combination study and a single agent study. And then in September, the program was licensed to Pronai Therapeutics. They're a US NASDAQ listed company with a big interest in DNA damage repair. Okay,
and they'll take it through from the end of this trial through to commercialisation?
Yes, their intention is to take it through to commercialisation, yes.
And that's for global markets or just for the US?
I would imagine so, yes, yeah.
Okay, and just tell me a little bit about the involvement of CRT, because that's a fund involved in it, and how does that work?
So we originally started this project quite a long time ago now as a collaboration between ourselves and the Institute of Cancer Research in Sutton, and that program on their side was funded by CRT, so I suppose it was a three-way agreement. A few years ago, the CRT ICR side essentially handed their share of the program through to their translational fund, this is CRT Pioneer Fund, and we maintained our investment or our interest in the program by investing to maintain our share of interest at the same level it was before.
Right.
So we're minor partners, but obviously it's for a small company like us, it's still a sizable deal for us.
Indeed. So you still benefit, and you get the upside of when that deal goes through, and there are other payments presumably as you go into
Oh, yes.
commercialisation phase and royalty streams thereafter?
Yes, indeed, yes. I mean the headline size is $328 odd million, and our share is public. We take a 27.5% share of that on all aspects of the deal, and that pro rata reflects the investment we made in the programme.
And is that a structure that you'll continue to use with CRT, or is that just an enabler for you to do what you're doing now?
So we don't have any other CRT involved programmes in the pipeline. So we have co-collaborators with two of our three other programmes. So there are different sorts of revenue share, and the Sareum's share ownership of the other two programmes is much higher. So we're majority and large majority owners of the other two programmes. But we've been very keen in the past, certainly, to take on, to engage with co-collaborators, but to access their expertise and to take the sting out of funding some of this development. But of course, now we've got some revenues coming in, we're in a much better position to fully fund programmes ourselves.
Right, so it sounds like actually quite a good model. Actually, the AIM listing takes away that VC hurdle that you've got to get something done in 3 to 5 years, otherwise the company has a problem, and it allows you to stay with things a little bit longer and participate in them and then build and grow from there. I
think we'd like to think so, yes. So yeah, there's nobody pushing us for an early exit. We can move as fast as we like. I mean, I think our model has a very low cost base. I don't think we ever claim to be the fastest at progressing programs, but I think we're certainly one of the most cost efficient companies there is. So we can take as long as we like. Obviously, we don't want IP to get too stale or anything like that. So there are those sorts of time pressures, but we can run at the pace that we think is best for the programme, and sometimes waiting a little bit, just seeing what everybody else is doing, seeing what developments or mistakes even that they make can be very beneficial to us. So there's a bit of second mouse gets the cheese, I think, with us.
Right. And do you see that model being the way to grow the company beyond this, or will you diversify or do things a little differently?
I think, certainly we'll be looking to take greater share of ownership of any co-collaboration, and I think we'll be taking more programs where we wholly own them. So I think this has been a useful means to an end to show that we can get programs into the clinic and that we can license them for a good sized deal. But obviously we'd rather have 100% of the deal than 27%. Of
course. So it's good validation of the business model and actually your technology all in one go, as it were.
Yes,
and you get revenues.
Indeed, yes.
What's not to like?
Yeah. So we said we'd do it, and we've done it.
Yeah.
Now, with the right investment, we could do it all by ourselves.
Just coming back to the asset itself, and you said DNA repair, and you said checkpoint, a couple of magic words in there, and checkpoint obviously. Is this the same checkpoint that everybody else gets really excited about, or is it slightly different?
No, it's not an immune checkpoint. No, it's a cell cycle checkpoint on the DNA damage repair pathway. But it's certainly an exciting area in that many cancers undergo so-called replication stress, in that they're dividing fairly crazily, and their DNA isn't as intact as it should be. So they need a DNA damage repair pathway running, which is controlled by checkpoint kinase 1. So the rationale is if you take out checkpoint kinase 1, then the DNA damage goes unchecked or unrepaired, and that will drive a cell into apoptosis. So that's one aspect of the program. Actually, originally when we started out this project, we were looking at combination therapies in that DNA damaging chemo initiates DNA damage, initiates a DNA damage repair response, and if you damp that down, or if you knock that out with a checkpoint kinase 1 inhibitor, then in principle you can make chemotherapy more effective. And again, we've certainly seen the single agent single agent efficacy in models where we expect to see single agent efficacy, as in DNA damage repair dependent cancers, and we see good combination or good synergy with DNA damaging chemotherapy in many other cancers.
Okay. But you're not purely a cancer company. You have other targets you can go after. What are those?
Yes. So we have an autoimmune disease program. I mean, it's kind of difficult, particularly in kinase inhibitor space, to follow purely cancer without kind of stumbling into autoimmune disease, and that's kind of what we did with our TYK2 program. So we took on a collaborator very early on in that our expertise internally is chemistry and cancer. So autoimmune disease biology was a little bit of a mystery to us. But we found a very good collaborator in SRI International in Menlo Park, California, who had essentially the opposite problem, in that they had the expertise in TYK2 TYK2 as a target and had all the models set up, but couldn't find any TYK2 selective molecules to work on, which is exactly what we had. So it was kind of an easy deal to do. So essentially we concentrate on the chemistry, they concentrate on the biology. And the model is we'll take the program through to IND, and then the rights will come back to us for a small fee, and then we are free to commercialise or take through phase 1 as we still fit.
And then, monetize as you best see fit, depending on how circumstances
That's
are
right,
at the time.
with a certain revenue share going back to SRI. But also actually we've subsequently found, and this is in the last year, there are some rare cancers, so T-cell acute lymphoblastic lymphoma being one of them, which is dependent on TYK2. And we had a biomedical catalyst funded feasibility study which finished in the middle of this year, where we successfully showed that we could get a TYK2 inhibitor to knock down T-cell ALL in a disease model, which is pretty much as good as we'd hoped for. So we're very excited about that as a cancer indication for TYK2, as well as autoimmune.
So lots of opportunity out there, and they seem to be increasing.
We certainly hope so, yeah.
So you could be the next feeding frenzy after checkpoint inhibitors.
Well, I've dreamt it, so maybe it will happen. Yes.
Well, Tim, it's been great learning about your latest deal and the updates and where you're heading with the company. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Yeah.
PharmaVentures, experts in deals and alliances.